Hello, everybody. Welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Please leave your bias at the door and join us for Championship Review Round 15, Part 1. We'll do last night's games. Obviously, another 6 games to play tonight. But everything gets a little bit built up and backed up if we don't do it this way. And we want to keep the content coming here on the channel. Please do let me know that you can see me, hear me loud and clearly, and get involved in the comments. We're going to go through 6 games. You can talk about any of those, and we'll do a little bit of Q&A at the end if there is anything still left over to talk about. Before we get into the action, let's just say thank you to our fan sponsor, Russ, a fan and now friend despite Ben's terrible taste in football teams. Thank you, Russ, for your support sponsoring this show right the way through the season. You too can support via Super Chat or subscribing on Patreon. You can head over to the Teesprings shop and there's a discount code for you there for watching this broadcast. If you type in the word live at the checkout, you will get a 10% discount on all Benjamin Bloom Football Channel merchandise, T-shirts, mugs, phone cases, hoodies, sweatshirts, etc., etc. over there. Right, I think we did it all. Please hit that subscribe button if you have not already, and we will get into last night's action in the Championship. As I say, round 15. This is the 4th round of the 9 in the 5-week crazy run up into December the 19th. We're now into December, so all we have rest of this run is another essential 2-3 game weeks to happen, and then we are out the other end. The table is shaping up, the narrative is shaping up, all looking very interesting as ever in the Championship. There are your results from last night. It was Cardiff 3, Huddersfield 0 in the 7 o'clocker. Birmingham 1, Barnsley 2. Bournemouth 2, Preston 3. Derby 1, Coventry 1. QPR 1, Bristol City 2. And Rotherham 0, Brentford 2, which we did on the watch along. Thank you to everybody who joined me for that one last night. Let's do a quick few highs here. Carl is here, says Championship betting is a lotto, isn't it? Eli is here. Josh, Gizang. My prediction for 1-0 for Derby was seconds away from being correct. That's the Championship. There you go. Don is here. Rose is here. Lewis says, when will this nightmare end? We'll talk about Derby in a bit. Hello to Hip. He says, if you're live, that is. Yes, I am indeed. And Jay with a super chat. Thank you. So I've got nothing to drink. I know it's 5 o'clock somewhere, but thank you. £1.80. There's normally a theme to Lewis's super chat. So 1.8 or something might have some significance. He's usually quite clever with those. But thank you, Jay. Very kind indeed. Let's go first to a bit of a shocker at the top of the table. Bournemouth 2, Preston 3. It is a bit of a shocker on the basis of the first 14 rounds, where Bournemouth have only lost 1 game and Preston have been so erratic. I suppose that doesn't make it a shocker, does it? Because they're rather hard to predict. They did have that great away run, so I suppose we can say they're erratic and this is an away game. But I didn't forecast this one for sure. Bournemouth 2, Preston 3. Get your thoughts on this one in the comments. Bournemouth, Begovic, Smith, Mepham, Cook, Rico. So no Stacey or Kelly in that back four. Stanislas, the other Cook, and Lerma in the middle there. Riquelme starts, Solanke and Brooks. So no Danjuma up the top there for Bournemouth. For Preston, Rudd, Brown at right back. It's happened before. Bauer, Davis, Rafferty. Pearson now starting in the double pivot with Ledson. Barkhuizen, Johnson, Sinclair with Maguire up top. So no Emil Rees up there. Here is the open, a nice, quick lightning break, in fact, by Preston. Look right in the corner of your picture, and you'll see Dan Johnson out near the corner flag. He has put that all the way over. I think Sinclair's disappointed because he couldn't put it in. But Tom Barkhazen, who is a very fast player, on the far post, finishes that one off and sweeps home. Now, here's a hell of a goal. That is, and it's the only wide shot we could get where we fit the keeper and the striker in the same picture. That is Scott Sinclair. Not only is he miles out from goal, he's on the run, pretty much sprinting actually, moving away from goal as well. And he's going to hit that right-footed. It's a brilliant goal. You can see he's miles out, sort of 35, 40 yards out. Begovic is, well, he's in no man's land, but he's not going to expect what happens to then happen. And as I say, on the run, cutting the ball back, essentially. He's headed away from goal, you can see. He doesn't float it either. He hits it pretty hard and lobs Begovic. Absolutely brilliant goal by Scott Sinclair. Get your thoughts in on that one for 2-0. And shocker, 3-0. Look at that, squared again. I think that might be, I can't tell. That's a blurry picture. It could be Johnson. It could be Sinclair. It's hard to tell there. But Patrick Bauer sticks in the third. 3-0. Wow. But we did get the possibility of a mighty comeback here. Stanislas has been in good form recently. I think this must be his fourth goal, certainly since we came back from the international break. Brilliant free kick there. And he's going to find the spot to Rudd's right. And Rudd hasn't even left that much of the goal because the wall's that side. So superb effort by Stanislas for 3-1. And then Surridge, who's come off the bench, I think for Raquelme at half-time, heads in. And a bit of a grandstand finish there. But Preston hold out and they get a very impressive away victory against one of the Year One parachute cartel, who were first, second and third going into this one. There are the numbers. 46 on the possession for Preston. So Bournemouth win that. 15 shots to 8 to Bournemouth as well. But 5 shots to 4 on target to Preston. 4 corners to 1. 2 big chances to 1 as well. I guess the first and the third goals. So despite having a fair bit of the ball, it looks like Preston were good value for this one and countered very nicely if you include that Scott Sinclair goal in there. Brilliant. Look down at 14th for Preston, 2 wins in 5. They've won 6 games, which is decent, but they've lost 8, which is the same as Wickham and Forest and Rotherham, who are down there in the bottom 5. So they need to stop being so damn erratic, don't they? But at best, they've won away at Reading, won away at Brentford, and now won away at Bournemouth. You try and explain Preston to me. Very capable side, evidently, on their day. So at Bournemouth, that's why they're second. But Norwich play tonight, have a chance to stick 3 points on and go 4 ahead of Bournemouth. And also Watford, Swansea and Reading can all overtake the Cherries tonight. It's tight up there. Could we see the parachute cartel be broken up tonight? Let's have a little look here. 10p for every championship goal. Love it, Joe. Brilliant stuff. Preston have been good away, yeah, and bad at home and bad away and good at home. They're all over the place, aren't they? Preston took their chances, took their half chances as well. I predicted 1-1 because of Preston's away form. Proper worldly from Sinclair. It's a great goal, isn't it? Hey, my prediction based on the championship being unpredictable paid off. There you go, Don. They'll come in every now and then. Preston won without even needing a penalty. There you go. Preston are the Villa of the championship this season. Brilliant. Preston drew at Norwich too. Yes, indeed. Preston good away. I beg to differ, says Mike. Of course, Preston losing 4-1 at Mike's team, Watford, at the weekend. Preston are erratic. I think we can all agree on that. Let's go on to the next game and get your comments in on QPR 1, Bristol City 2. And Dean Holden continues to do a fine job of having Bristol City right up the top of the division. Mark Warburton continues to madden some QPR fans, a bit all over the place, aren't they? I thought they played well against Brentford at the weekend, were unlucky to lose. And then they lose at home in the next game where you'd want them to, press home the fact that they played well and that they had a home game to follow up. So for Bristol City, Bentley in goal. Mariappa, that must be his first start. Viner, Callas returns. Good news to Silva. Naj, Brunt for some experience comes in. O'Dowda. And then Semenyo, Martin and Wells. It had been Jeju and Semenyo the past few games. But I do remember the away game at Cardiff. We covered that and we got this front three and they won that game. And they've won away again. So QPR, Dieng, Kakai, Dickey, Barbet, Wallace comes in for Hammerleinen and Kakai comes in for Kane. So the fullbacks all changed there. Carroll and Ball, Willock, Chair, Samuel and Dykes is all fairly stayed for Rangers. Here is the opening goal and Rangers take the lead in this one. And there is Rob Dickey, who's a big bloke doing a fair old jump and sort of crouching at the same time. Obviously jumped a bit too high and still had to crouch for that one. I think Chris Willock put the cross in. Dickey heads home. But here comes the comeback. And there comes Naki Wells. I think that's O'Dowda who's put that across the box. Obviously, Wells bound to score in this one, wasn't he? He was on loan twice at QPR, wasn't he? And scored a lot of goals for them as well. He taps that one in from on the line. And there is Adam Naj, a nice shot from behind the goal at Rangers. You can see he's just stepped inside. I can't tell you who that is. He's just stepped inside. Is it ball pass? And that's going to go through the legs of Dickey. And Dieng can't get a good look at it. Naj sticks it down into the corner. And Bristol City do it again. And they go into third. And that's their 8th win of the season. A league high along with Norwich and Reading. Brilliant stuff from Dean Holden there. Look at the numbers, though. And they may have dodged a bullet here. Look, 64% possession to Rangers, 19 shots to 12 to Rangers, 4 shots to 3 on target to Rangers, 9 corners to 2 for Rangers, 5 big chances to 3, 4 missed. So if you're QPR, you can come away from this and say, we should have got more out of that game, especially 5 big chances. It would imply that they didn't play the penalty boxes well, which is where games are won and lost. If you're Bristol City, you say, we play the game state that's in front of us. If the other team are going to miss 5 big chances, what are you going to do? So, not great for Rangers there. They've lost those last 2. They could have had 2, 4, or even 6 points probably from those games. Could have got something from either of them. They've lost both of them, which... on the one hand, that bodes well. You got something sustainable if you can meet that criteria in future. On the other hand, you're playing well and losing. That doesn't bode so well. Bristol City are just continually picking up the points, aren't they? 8 wins, as I say. They've won tight games this season, so the game management must be decent, mustn't it, in terms of taking your chances, defending a lead. And they're on 27 points from 15, which is just excellent. And for maybe just tonight, they, and Brentford indeed, who we'll speak about in a minute, are going to break up the parachute cartel. There it was, 1st, 2nd and 3rd for Norwich, Bournemouth and Watford. And in go Bristol City. So brilliant stuff by then. Josh says, incredibly lucky to beat QPR. They absolutely battered us. However, at the end of the day, if you don't take your chances, you'll be punished. And we didn't lose after a loss. Streaky Dean, no more. That's not my criteria for Streaky Dean, Josh. I'm interested in those big bunches of wins and then big bunches of defeats. But yes, a very honest assessment from Josh there. QPR lost on purpose to deny Brentford 3rd place. There we go. Not so streaky, perhaps. We'll find out. Give it a season. O'Dowda and Naj were outstanding. Best performances in the City shirt. Dan Bentley quality as usually often is, isn't he? Establishes running. Yeah, he is. Excellent keeper. Good with his feet as well. Bentley, Don says it's good to see City up there. I'm worried that they are yet to win a game convincingly. Let's hope it's kept up. QPR may worry. Teams who play well and lose get relegated. Yeah, perhaps. In the end, I think what happens, Don, is they stop playing well because the confidence just saps out of them. So yeah, we will see how that one goes. Parachute Cartel. You're welcome to that one. I've been using that one for a while. Whilst they're first, second, and third, I am entitled to that one, aren't I, David? Are we flat track bullies? Perhaps, Josh. Perhaps. I mean, you're a smart guy and a good subscriber. I'll bow to your superior knowledge on that one, matey. But possibly, we'll find out when some hard games come in, won't we? I mean, probably do some analysis that would prove that already. But we'll see. It's only round 15, isn't it? But yeah, I've called Blackburn that, so they've changed maybe slightly. So maybe we can level the same accusation theory at Bristol City. Rotherham 0, Brentford 2, which we watched on the channel last night as a watch along. Raya in goal for Brentford. Fosu doing a shift there at right back. It's normally a left winger, for goodness sake. Janssen, Pinnock, Henry, no Dalsgaard there. Janelt, Jensen, De Silva, no Marcondes or Norgard. Marcondes on the bench, in fact. Force, Tony and Mbuemo. So Force gets the start. That sofa score is wrong there. Mbuemo did play down the right-hand side and Force sort of filling in on the left. That position seems up for grabs with Fosu getting farmed out at right back. He's probably the favourite for it. Godos and Kanyos as well. So we'll see. But Force's goal record is fabulous. And here he goes, getting another one. Here, such a decisive striker, Force. Hits everything early and hard and into the corner, which is a pretty good trick if you can learn how to pull it off. What we do need to say is look at Ivan Toney in the edge of your picture. Bit of absolute quality from him to cushion that ball down into Force's path, who hammers it home. Toney is really winning me over now. When the season started, he didn't score for a couple of games, did he? And we're like, oh, is he gonna fit in? Brentford take a while to go. But just all the other elements of his game now. I've always said about these Brentford strikers, Mopai and Watkins have scored a lot of goals and been sold, that there's this theory that all you have to be able to do to play up top for Brentford is play the width of the box and score the high percentage chances. Toney is doing that and a little bit more at the moment. I'm very, very impressed. Here he is. He's going to score a penalty. I mean, you give me your comments on that. Kanyos goes through. He kind of waits for Mikkel Miller, suckers him in. It might be one of those ones where you say he's drawn the foul, but it is a penalty. I don't know. You tell me what you think there. Toney saunters up there a couple of steps and sits Blackman on the floor and sticks it to his right. Very impressed with Toney, though. He's really looking the part, isn't he? 13 for the season now, I think. And the stats, look, Rotherham made it hard, but Brentford in the end just wore them down and got the victory. And look, big chances 0 to Rotherham. And for all their good pressing and managing to make it a tricky game, didn't create the opportunities. And Brentford, I think, deserved winners. And the red card and the penalty obviously just chops the game there and then. Brentford, like Bristol City, breaking up the parachute cartel there. Moving into 4th place with a mighty 11 points now from 5, which has been the criteria set by Norwich and Watford in recent games, hasn't it? Up they go into 4th. They're starting to move nicely, Brentford, and there's not a sense that they're in top gear yet, is there? They're, just getting through games and, being fair enough winners, but not blowing anyone away. I don't know whether that's a good thing or not. I mean, the accusation we've given to Brentford before in the past is they've not been like they are right at the moment, that they'll win 4-1 one week and then lose at home to Danny Cowley or something in Huddersfield the next week. They'll beat Luton 7-0 in one game and lose the return 2-1. So maybe they do need to just be like this. And in the season of the grind, the season of the churn, maybe a churning Brentford might be more viable than a kind of free-flowing attacking Brentford. Tony is a monster, by far the best striker in the league. He looks very good, doesn't he? Important win last season. We lost games like this. Didn't do well against physical sides at all. And Rotherham were good, weren't they? They press well. They're very well organised, physical, play to their strengths. My definition of a good side is one that knows their plan and is able to execute it. Obviously, they have less money and less good players than a side like Brentford, and Brentford have earned the right to have that with good recruitment. But yeah, agreed. Selling Watkins and buying Tony for a fraction is unbelievable business from them. Yeah, and I think they're going to have to pay out a bit if they get promoted, from what I've heard about the deal. But they'll be happy to do that, don't they? How old is Tony? 24 as well. Yeah, excellent. Brentford Bournemouth playoff final. Is that what the table says at the moment, or is that a prediction? A very tight game, but that bit of quality from Brentford. Yeah, agreed, especially for that first goal. Brentford remains slightly under the radar, picking up steam. Rotherham still look good enough to stay up. Yeah, well, we'll talk about the bottom of the table in a bit. And Don, they're under many people's radar, but here on the channel and our subscribers, we know all about them. Brentford are the best run club in the champ. Actually, this game's two of the best run clubs in the championship, because Rotherham will probably make another profit. Well, without COVID, but one of the few teams to make a profit. Obviously, got relegated, but in terms of running, obviously, there's the on-field success. Rotherham do a very fine job with that. And speaking of doing a very fine job, Cardiff seem to be getting quite good at home now. I was criticising them. By the way, Cardiff 3, Huddersfield 0. It was last night. I was saying, what they're doing in 15th place. Harris will be under pressure if this indeed goes on. And they've won 4-0 and 3-0 in the last two games. So on that sample size of two games, the best team in the league at the moment, aren't they? It was for Cardiff, Smithies, Bennett, Nelson, Morrison, Bakuna. So I don't know what's happened to Osai Tutu. Maybe he's injured, but I'm sure he was slated to be the right back. If you trust SofaScore's system, which sometimes we don't, Ojo rules Volks and Harris with Ojo and Harris wide. That assumes Harry Wilson is a forward, which he's not normally, but there you go. Splitting hairs here, as I like to do. Kiefer Moore up top for sure. We know that. Hamer, Dehaney, Schindler, Sarr and Toffolo. O'Brien, Hogg, Eiting. Daly, Ward and Karoma up top. So maybe a little drop off up top from not having Campbell and Benza. You tell me. Here are the goals. And Big Kiefer, you give him that service in the 6-yard box, crossed him from the left, I think from Ojo. And he just gets across the front and strokes it home, doing a fine job this season. I suspect Kiefer Moore will be above 15 goals this season if he stays fit, won't he? It's looking good. And there he is again. And it's a bit of a aberration from Naby Sarr. You can see on the floor, he's been robbed. That looks like Junior Hoylett. I guess he must have come on in this one. Double check that one. Yes, so he gets the assist. I'm pretty sure that's him. Blurry pictures, apologies. And Moore plays the whip for the goal and scores 2 goals. Lovely stuff. Here is the third. Nicely slid through there for Rob Glatzel, who smashes that one home. Just stays his onside with his run. And 3-0 to Cardiff in that one. Looking at the numbers, Cardiff in Huddersfield. And if they were going to do this, i.e. keep it tight but still create big chances without relying on possession to do so, Huddersfield were going to be the team that they did it against. Did the same thing to Barnsley and Luton as well in recent home games. 3 big chances to 0, 10 shots apiece. Chance quality wins out, and teams like Cardiff, they exploit that, don't they? Back-to-back wins now makes it 7 points in the last 5, which is far, far better than where they were a couple of games ago. Huddersfield, a bit spotty, aren't they? They are on 18 points. So they're 8 points above the bottom 3. And, they're only 3 points off 9th. So we'll see how Huddersfield go Are they going to be consistent enough to be in that top half, or are they going to be just below? Expectations say either way is decent given lack of spend and the way that's been run, and Corberon having his first season in management. Let's have a look at your comments. I miss Kiefer Moore, says Eli. As an Ipswich fan, I'd love to have him back. I don't miss him because he barely ever got in our team, but there we go. Huddersfield having a stinker in defence, certainly for that second goal. Cardiff will start to climb now, but I question consistency. Suspect they will just miss out on playoffs by a couple of points or so. That might not see Neil Harris keep his job, mightn't it? Year 2 parachute team. HTFC says, we made some awful errors. Guess it was going to happen when we get into a season with players not good enough to play this system. Interesting. That when they do click, they look well good enough and they've scored some great goals. But yeah, we'll see if HTFC's theory bears itself out across the season. Quick reminder, you can support via Super Chat right this second. Sign up on Patreon or head over to the Teesprings shop where your discount code is the word live. Just type live in and you get a 10% discount over there. If you're in the stream right now, please do us a favor. Hit the like button, whether that's on YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook, and hit subscribe if you're on YouTube. Help us grow. The target is 15,000 long term. We're at 13,300. Thank you to each and every one of you guys. Let's move on. And a disappointing home defeat for Birmingham, which in turn means a turnaround away win for Barnsley, who were a goal down in this one. And they're going to go on to get the win for Valerian Ismail. Birmingham, 3 at the back there. Etheridge in goal. Roberts, Dean, Clark-Salter, Pedersen and Colin, San Jose, Sanchez, McGree, Hogan, Lecco. Start to look at that. And that's a lot of players who should be able to sustain the middle of the championship, isn't it? Etheridge, Dean, Roberts. I don't read them all out again, but you know what I'm saying, don't you? It's not a weak team, is it? We'll find out, won't we? Barnsley are ever so consistent with their system of play and personnel. Only really Kane has come in recent weeks. That back 8, in fact, of Walton, Solbauer, Hellick, Anderson, Britton and Styles, wing backs, and Mowat, sometimes partnered by James. Now Kane the last couple of games. Chaplin, Adebayo and Woodrow. That sometimes switches around at the top with people like Thomas. You can see Freeser and Schmidt all on the bench, but very, very settled. And they were on a bad run, but they're going to get the win here. Get your comments in on this one. Birmingham 1, Barnsley 2. And there is the opening goal. Slid across the box. Scott Hogan. This reminds me of the chance we had in the watch-along the other night for Aston Villa for Trezeguet, where he couldn't angle his body and just redirect the ball in the way Scott Hogan has, to just stick it into the gap. More difficult chance than Trezeguet had, I think, isn't it? Hogan gets the goal. What you going to do, brother? However, here comes the comeback. That is Callum Styles. It's not Britain, is it? Let me double check. Sorry, it's Callum Britton. 2 Callums at wing backs there, being brought down. Just getting in a tangle there with Christian Pedersen. Here comes Cauley Woodrow, who's going to also get a decent total this season, I think, and strokes the penalty home. And here comes the winner. That is Callum Styles, not Callum Britton. Very sought after player now, Callum Styles. He's going to be worth a lot of money by the end of the season, isn't he? Sticks it home. I also think he's going to end up being a central midfielder in the end, via a deflection, I do have to say, in deference to Etheridge and the Birmingham defenders. So Birmingham have the lead in this one and then throw it all away. The numbers tell us, however, that Barnsley, some value in their win here. 12 shots to 5, 2 big chances to 1. Birmingham, oddly, with more possession, which you wouldn't imagine. Karanka versus Ismail. But Barnsley take the honours, take the win. And it's amazing how that can flip. I was looking at that last night as we were going live on the watch along. And I believe I'm right in saying that if that had stayed a defeat, obviously it would have been 3 defeats in a row, wouldn't it? Yes. The last 5 form tells us that. And all of a sudden, you make that comeback, you stick a win on there, and it's 3 wins in 5, 9 points in 5, which is a sustainable top half form. So we just need to find out from Barnsley, are they going to be consistent enough to become a top half team, or are they going to be those back-to-back defeats that come now and then that just suckers them down? I think there's a lot of decent players in there, and they're far more stable and ahead in their plan of some other teams. Maybe Birmingham, you could say, are one of those. And look at that. Look at the last 5 for Birmingham. Lost, drawn, lost. 3 points in 5 is most definitely relegation form over 5 games. So can Karanka pick it up? I mean, my theory is they've got some good players that should be good enough. San Jose, Pedersen, Etheridge, Lecco, if he can get him playing, Hogan and Jutkovic. They're not relegation players, are they? At best, Karanka's teams are very hard to play against, and they're good sides that, win more than they lose. At worst, they're overly pragmatic, a bit dull, and not likely to win games. So, currently 18th down there. And we've spoken about the bottom 6 for a while being currently made up of 3 traditionally big clubs in Forest, Wednesday and Derby, with the 3 promoted clubs from last season. Could a team like Birmingham be suckered down into that bottom 6? I wonder. Let's have a look at your comments. What have we got to say here? Don says both teams will end up being between 10th and 16th. Woodrow's top quality. Would love him back at Ashby. He used to play for Bristol City. He's played for a load of clubs, hasn't he, Woodrow? I can't remember. Afternoon to Lee. Still tuning in, even though we're in the Prem. Nice one, Phil. Love it. Woodrow's class, the difference in this one, says Bart. Brum are going to get dragged into the relegation scrap at this rate. Not good enough from Karanka. Barnsley remind me of Millwall 17-18. Probably not the way they play, but dark horse for the push. Nice. Eli with his Barnsley badge says deserving win this one. Frustrating to go 1-0 down to what seemed their first shot. Certainly their only big chance of the game, according to the SofaScore stats. First time we've won a game after conceding the first goal in the Championship since January 17. That's why we have you guys in the comments. Great stats there. Dave says, hi, Ben, Super Reds. Nice not to be in the relegation. Looking up for a change. Indeed, absolutely. Gizang, we've been awful last few games, barely having a shot on target. Karanka insists with 5 at the back, which doesn't work at all. We can't even complete 3 passes in a row. Absolutely shocking last night. Yeah, when you're pragmatic, it's all very well when you nick that goal and you can sit back and sucker the other team in. But when you're not, when you can't score, and you don't need possession to score, we know that. We just seen Cardiff score 3 goals in this game week. But yeah, when it doesn't work, not good, is it? Barnsley are a decent outfit, deserve more credit from the pundits. Not on this channel, Josh. You know we're on it, don't you? Play nice football, 8th to 14th. Karanka sets out to draw games, even against teams like Barnsley at home. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if setting out not to lose games is setting out to draw them. Maybe it is. Obviously, all managers that do this would argue they are trying to win these games, and their methodology is that they're going to be very tight, not concede any chances, create 1 or 2 big chances, and rely on their forwards to take them. But I know how it feels that it's setting out to draw games. Look, my team was managed by Mick McCarthy, and after the good couple of seasons, it really did feel like he was just happy to not lose all the time. QBR says, we've announced we bought new land for a training ground. Lovely stuff. We need someone who can finish. We've got Woodrow, we've got Chaplin, Adebayo, Freeser, Schmidt. So there we go. Here we go. As a Barnsley fan, we're sick of this. Hashtag teams like Barnsley. We've been in the second level the most years than anyone else. I don't understand what you mean, Phil. When I say teams like Barnsley, I mean teams that maybe don't have a large budget, that play good football. I can speak very specifically about Barnsley. So don't get too upset about people who know less about Barnsley than you do saying teams like Barnsley. You're going to have to take that on the chin, I'm afraid, if they don't understand what Barnsley are. That's their issue, not yours. And we've been full of praise for Barnsley under Struber and up in the Championship. Maybe their owners sometimes get accused of, not pushing to the higher level. But I've very much enjoyed Barnsley under Heckingbottom, and they got pillaged by their players. Enjoyed them under Struber in the Great Escape last season. So you won't get any of that on this channel, Phil. And like I say, don't get cross when people who know less than you know less than you, if you know what I mean. So I know other supporters say we should beat teams like Barnsley. That's on them. That's their lack of knowledge, Phil. So I know it's annoying. Luton fans say the same. Brentford fans have said the same for years as well, Phil. But you just be proud of the fact that your team are well run, have decent scouting in Europe, hire decent managers, play decent football. He means every week on Twitter when we beat a bigger team and they put teams like Barnsley in. Again, I will say you're getting annoyed at people who are saying stuff that's not very intelligent. And yes, it's annoying, but just take solitude in the fact you know more than they do, really. So Barnsley being in the Championship makes the Championship better. Agreed. Yeah, that's always annoying, isn't it? And I mean, I sometimes get irritated when clubs say, or fans say, we don't get the credit. I don't necessarily agree with that, because the league table should be the credit and the wins should be the credit. But there's some kind of disrespect in the whole teams like Luton, teams like Barnsley, teams like Rotherham. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of disrespectful, isn't it? So I think my catch-all solution to this is when someone says that, you ask them, what do you mean by teams like Barnsley? You tell me what you mean. And I suspect 9 out of 10 of them won't have a clue what Barnsley are, who any of the players are, who the manager is. All they know is that Barnsley is traditionally smaller than their team. So that would be, don't get annoyed by it. Ask them, what do you mean by teams like Barnsley? And if they can be asked to go away and do the research. So I'm going off on a rant now because it is disrespectful to a club. Barnsley as well were in the Premier League, when I was younger. So, yeah, it's annoying, isn't it? I get your pain, Phil and Eli, the Barnsley fans in the chat. We know what you are here. Don't worry about that. Comment of the day. You're right, Ben, says Josh. Ask them, what do you mean teams like Barnsley? Right. Where am I looking? Sorry, it's a bit of a rant there, but there you go. Derby 1, Coventry 1. Goodness me. Derby just can't get over the line and win a game, can they? Just that one win this season. I was there. I was there when Derby won at Norwich. Stacked defence. Pookie fell over from a penalty and Rooney wrapped the free kick in the top corner. So hardly sustainable stuff. And the league table kind of intimates that. They've gone with more experienced now. Marshall, Buchanan, Clark, Wisdom, Byrne across the back. Buchanan returning. Bird and Bielik, double pivot. That interests me. That sounds fun. Lawrence, Holmes, Knight, and Kazim Richards make up the rest of the team there. So some experienced heads there. Davis, Forsyth, Shinnie, and the likes of Sibley and Josviak, who are sort of young or European imported player there, not being given the shirt at the moment in this dismal run that Derby are on as they still search for a manager. Coventry, Wilson in goal, Morosi's injured. Darbo, McFadzean, High and McCallum returns. He couldn't play against Norwich at the weekend because he's on loan from them. Kelly and Hamer, O'Hare, Shipley, Giles with Walker up top there. And get your comments in on this one, guys. There is Colin Kazim Richards going to power home. Good leap by him. The header, just McFadzean looks like he's in the wrong spot there. I think Nathan Burns pinged that one across, and first goal for Kazim Richards, is it? I think he set up the goal for Holmes at the weekend. And that was in the 83rd minute, and I'm sure Rooney and Rossignol thought they'd got the win, but no. Here it comes. How's your technique, Gus Hamer? Pretty decent. Does this take a deflection? I think it might do, actually. Headed out, Hamer hits it nice and early on the volley. And looking at the angle of Hamer's foot, I think this goes into Marshall's left. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's a deflection and Derby just can't get over the line, can they, for a victory? 90th minute equaliser for Coventry. That's the way it goes when you're down the bottom. On the one hand, Derby haven't lost the last 2 games. On the other hand, they've played Wycombe and Coventry at home, who were both promoted from League One last season, and they've had the lead and not managed to beat either of them. Therefore, are you going to get harder games than a promoted team at home with the lead with minutes to go? Yes. So it's either good or bad. Context will tell us in the future. There are the numbers. 12 shots to 9, 3 on target each. 1 big chance to Derby and 2 to Coventry. Look, I don't want to get too bogged down by XG or big chances or things of that nature. And I will always say, don't ever use one stat as a single factor analysis to tell you whether a football team is good. But in general, good football teams create a lot of good opportunities and don't concede many. Derby at the moment are a bad football team. They have a lot of possession. They don't create many big opportunities and they concede lots of them or proportionately more than they make. And it's quite simple. They just have to turn that around, whether it's confidence, systems, whether a new manager comes in and changes all of that. There's good players there, but it's getting worrying for Derby at the moment, isn't it? 8 points from 15 games is just horrendously bad, but there's still another 31 games to play, isn't there? And look at it, big picture, 31 games to play, and they've got to make up 4 points, call it 5, because you assume the goal difference is going to be bad on where they are at the moment. So it could be worse, but it's pretty bad and they need to sort it out. Coventry, we expected an upturn, didn't we, looking at the fixtures? Go back and watch my Will Your Team Be Trending Higher or Lower by Christmas? We said higher for Coventry based on the fixtures. A few too many draws, but remember there was a draw away at Norwich in that one and a win into the bargain. So it is 6 points in the last 4 for Derby. That's 1.5 points per game, isn't it? If they can cycle that out over 10 games, they are going to move away from the relegation zone. Can they get far enough away and can they stay there? Let's have a look at your comments on this one. Let's have a look. Premier League for Barnsley would have been first division then, wouldn't it? No, it was 90. When were Barnsley in the Premier League? 97, 98? Someone correct me in the comments, you're a Barnsley fan. Derby, sorry, Rams fans. League One beckons, and you don't need to tell me that. 7 goals all season spells relegation. The club appears from the outside to be in turmoil despite a pending takeover. Could pan out that way. It could well pan out that way, Josh. Obviously, if you're a Derby fan, you're going to want the takeover to happen, the new managerial hire to work, and for you to move away. But if they don't make some sensible, smart decisions in the short term, then they're going to go down, aren't they? There are big clubs with rich history, wealthy owners, and big budgets. But as we see week in, week out, anyone could beat anyone. Yep. And as we often say on this channel, and I've nicked this from Harry from the Blue Monday podcast, owners relegate clubs and chaos relegates clubs as well. Change your managers, bad recruitment, lots of players in and out. You'll go down. Doesn't matter if you're Sunderland, Leeds, Forest, Ipswich, Sheffield United, Sheffield Wednesday, Leicester. They've all gone down from the Championship. And one of those teams won the Premier League since, for goodness sake. So don't tell me anyone's too big to go down. Teams like Derby shouldn't be anywhere near the bottom. That's tremendous. No, they shouldn't really. But maybe the clubs like Derby shouldn't. But teams like Derby, chaos. And this is not a good football team at the moment, are they? Sad to say for you Derby fans. Derby need to hope they aren't cut too far adrift. The funds come rolling in January. They've got to be spent well as well, Hip, though, haven't they? They really do. It's like Derby take the lead and go to pieces with the pressure. Jay, that is totally right. I watched my team, Ipswich, right? Professional footballers in 18-19. They're one of the worst teams the Championship has seen. Awful points total. And they would consistently concede a goal in the first 5 minutes of games because the confidence was shot, the pressure on them. Pro footballers should be able to go on the pitch and not concede a goal within 5 minutes. Look, if one goes in the top corner, fine, whatever. You can't do anything about that sometimes, can you? But the pressure and the lack of confidence really does kill teams, doesn't it? Derby are in serious trouble. Next game's them. Yeah, and before I'll read the rest of your comment, Don, they've just played Coventry and Wycombe at home, who have just come up from League One and not beaten either of them. So Millwall, Brentford, Stoke and Swansea. Ouch. Could be on 8 points going into game week 20. Eek. I don't see Derby getting out of it. You're either expecting lots of new signings or to gel quickly. Yeah, and the gelling would be you're looking at a new manager who's going to come in and just organise them and make them hard. Look, what I will say is there is a precedent, and it is at my club. Take a look at where Ipswich were under Paul Jewell when Mick McCarthy came in. And Mick McCarthy pretty much hit promotion form to get Ipswich away from the bottom of the table. So it can happen. I take a point here. 1.5 for Gus Hamer is a bargain. Yeah, it looks good, doesn't it? Slowly climbing the table. Rotherham, Luton and Wycombe in our next 3 massive games to come. You can get some points from those, can't they? If you get 5 points or even 6 would be fantastic. But 5 from those 3, you'd be happy with the 4, wouldn't you? Given that they've got 1.5 from the previous 4 games, haven't they? So nice. Bottled 1-0 leads against Wycombe and Barnsley. There you go. Too many loans made Derby look good last season. This season, the team is rubbish. I think it was the season before. The loans made them look really good, didn't it? Wilson, Tamori and Mount. And Mount is just a regular now in the top 6 in the Premier League, isn't it? So there we go. Have we had the North End game? Yes, pull back, Alistair. We said lovely things about your massively erratic football team that seems capable of beating anybody and losing to anybody. The quote Ben just said about owners and relegation is that, yeah, it's not my quote. Harry from Bath, the great Harry on Blue Monday podcast. We should have it as a t-shirt. Owners relegate clubs. They do. Harry had a theory, Jay, that 2 things relegated clubs in the Championship particularly. A, they're too small. And don't get on my back about teams like, but if you're Yeovil or Burton, or you have the lowest spend and you're not prepared to gamble a ton of money, sometimes you're just too small. And that is the case. And Rotherham would hold their hands up and say, look, we ran well last time we were up. We made a profit. We got a settled team and a settled manager, but we got relegated. We were just too small. And that is what it is. You're either too small or your owners relegate you, is what Harry's theory was. And we don't see much difference. And much different theories happen. Jay says, I think we've taken the lead in 5 games this season and not won any. Yeah, that must be confidence in game management, mustn't it? Goodness me. Obviously took the lead in the Norwich game, but Jay is talking about the games where they've been in the lead and not won points. Derby have really surprised me in very much the wrong way. What's gone wrong? Pattern of play, manager not working, too slow. And also, I think what we need to not underestimate with Derby is this transition that they have made from spending lots of money on, I don't know, a Vidra, a Nugent, a Tom Ince, those sort of players, ready-made Championship players. They transitioned from then going to loan players, as in Mount, Tamori, and who was the other one? Wilson, the season they last finished in the playoffs. And then going from there to, play all the young players. Play Bogle, Sibley, Buchanan, Knight. It's almost like you need 2 years to do each of those transitions. And they've tried to go from one to the next in consecutive seasons. And it's tricky. It really, really is tricky. If you transition something, I'll use my club Ipswich as an example. You go from Mick McCarthy, who's a good manager, plays a certain standard type of football, good recruitment, and Ipswich were viable in the Championship, weren't they? if you immediately then transition through to Paul Hurst, who sells all Mick McCarthy's players, changes the recruitment, the style of football, everything all in one go, if it goes wrong, you are screwed. And you have that car crash of a season that Ipswich did. So hopefully it doesn't happen to Derby. Owners also promote clubs. Yes, they do. They very much do indeed. Owners can ruin a club. Yeah, it works both ways, doesn't it? Is Nugent still playing? I think, is he still at Preston? Nugent went to Preston. Indeed. Lampard leaving has made a real impact on Derby. True. And it wasn't just Lampard, Joseph. It was Lampard, and I've said these players a few times, but there was more. Lampard went. Jody Morris went, didn't he, with him, the assistant. So presumably other staff probably went with Frank. And not just Mount, Tamori and Wilson went, but I think people like Bryson, there was a few people that had been there a long while, and then obviously what happened with Keogh. So it felt like a real new broom when Koku was managing last season, didn't it? And then this season, the recruitment's been even worse, hasn't it? Whereby Marriott goes out on loan and Martin goes on a free, and all of a sudden, you've gone from the loan players are gone, all the expensive players are gone, a couple of the squad players are gone, and you're left. And as much as I think Sibley and Knight and Bogan and Lowe obviously went as well, didn't they? The young players are really good. It's too much transition too quickly. It's hard to manage, isn't it? How many of the Derby squad would get into the current top 8 teams? That's a good question. A couple of the youngsters would, but obviously, Josh, that needs to be around good players, experienced players, doesn't it? So it's a good question. I'd have to look through the team. I'll do it. Let's bring up the Derby team. Top 8. David Marshall, yeah, probably. Matt Clark, I mean, he's on loan, but good player. Nathan Byrne was there or thereabouts with Wigan, wasn't he? Bielik could. Bird and Buchanan in time could. I think Lawrence is a top half player for sure. So there are a few. So there is a sense of underperformance as well, isn't there? Good point, Ben. Similar to Borough. Exactly. Yeah, Borough tried it with Woodgate, switching from, right, we got parachute money to we haven't. It's hard. And they had to go back to Warnock in the end, aren't they? Derby is something of a warning for what can happen when you over... Yep, they absolutely are. They have tried everything. And in the defence of Mel Morris, they are also a case to show how broke the Championship is in terms of system. The fact that Derby essentially have to risk big style to try and compete with the parachute teams. And I know I've ranted about that long and hard, but yeah. I can confirm Nugent is not in our squad. We have given him full permission to leave. Couldn't quite complete the move to Northampton in the summer. There we go. He's been a great Championship striker. Nugent, if you're relying on Rooney as your main striker, you're in trouble. Yeah, they shouldn't be. That's bad recruitment, isn't it? That's not Wayne Rooney's fault in the slightest, is it? But to have loaned out Marriott and for Martin to have gone, and you bring in Kazim Richards in on a free, you may as well give, who is it, Stretton and Hector Ingram, the youngsters there. My team a warning of getting overpaid. Yeah, well, there you go. Remember that horrible stat that every QPR had to hear, that I think the QPR team in the Championship had a higher salary bill than the Dortmund team under Klopp that got to the Champions League final that season. No sympathy for the Rams. Spent big wages, broke FFP. Karma. That's probably a little bit harsh, Lee. They did spend big, that's for sure. They've been found not guilty of FFP, haven't they? So we can't say they were charged with FFP, but so we can't say they broke FFP. That's factually incorrect. I have some sympathy because, yeah, any team that stays in the Championship for a long time and doesn't have parachute money, unless you've got a brilliant bit of management like a Chris Wilder at Sheffield United or David Wagner at Huddersfield for that one season. In the end, they will sink lower and lower without some really good management. And every year, 3 new teams come in with the millions, don't they? So I have some sympathy because the system's been broke. And owners like Mel Morris and Marcus Evans at Ipswich were owners at the worst possible time in the history of being a wealthy owner in the Championship. Because when in, say, 2007 or something, if you were Mel Morris or you were Marcus Evans, your money can make a difference in the Championship because the parachute money is there, but it's less ridiculous. You know, it's not squished into 3 seasons. It's not 45 million quid in the first season, is it? And you've got that, and your money is worth more, and the FFP isn't there. So I have some sympathy, I have to say. They're almost mirroring what Preston did at the start of the decade. Got playoffs for years without promotion. Yeah, and you can't keep missing out and throwing the money at it. In the end, that breaks. You either have to go up or the whole thing breaks, doesn't it? So Waghorn is decent, to be fair. Yeah, he is. I still can't tell with Waghorn. I love him because he was brilliant for Ipswich for that one season. But you just still can't tell. Is he a top 6 Championship guy? I know he finished there with Derby, but he was in and out of the team, wasn't he? Or is he just a little bit lower? I don't know. Yeah, there you go. There is Sheffield Wednesday. Another complete case in point. Chansiri, I'd put in the Marcus Evans bracket, and Mel Morris. If you don't go up against these parachute teams and you try and compete with them, you are screwed. FFP and parachutes mean you just cannot do that and sustain not getting promoted. You can't do it. You're better off being Rotherham and making a profit and going down and bouncing back. You honestly are. And for big clubs like Sheffield Wednesday and Derby particularly, I'd have them a little bit bigger than Ipswich. No, my fellow Ipswich fans won't like that. It doesn't work. It really, really doesn't work. Radaby says, amuses me greatly that Derby celebrated at Ellen Road like they were already promoted. Sums up the mentality. Look, I don't think they celebrated like they were already promoted, but I think there are a lot of barbs thrown back and forth. I think they were just celebrating the one game. But as I always say with football banter, the only way you won't lose is by never playing. I never play. Derby played that day, didn't they? They decided to go all in. Leeds fans were doing the same in the first leg. Stop crying Frank Lampard and all that. In the end, it's like the Game of Thrones, I say, football banter. You either win or you die, is my view on that. I think my lucky stars that Leeds went up when we did. Exactly. And that's what you need without parachute money. You need a brilliant manager and some brilliant recruitment and 2 years of good performance. And you can do it if you're a Leeds or a Sheffield United or a Huddersfield, who never had any parachute money, those teams. In fairness, all clubs who win playoff semi-finals celebrate like they're going up. There you go. We did against Warnock's Palace, and Windass made us look like mugs. There you go. What a run that would have been by Bristol City back then. It's just strange if you look at all their league finishes and just that one right up there in the playoff final, the closest they ever got. Guys, this has been a great chat here in this stream. We're going to bring it to a close now. Can I just implore you all, if you're in the chat now, to hit subscribe and hit like, whether you're watching on, if you're watching on YouTube, hit subscribe and like, thumbs up the video. Twitter, just hit like, and Facebook the same, hit like on the platforms there. Brilliant stuff. It's been a really good chat, especially the hashtag teams like Barnsley chat and the broken nature of the Championship and why Derby and Sheffield Wednesday essentially, and Forest, when you think about it, are where they are. That make a good video, that, wouldn't it? Let me make a note of that. Championship broken, and the examples of Derby, Wednesday, and Forest. There you go. Right, thank you everybody for watching. I'm having the night off tonight. I'm going to hang with my missus. So no watch along tonight. I might even turn my phone off and not even pay any attention to any of the football and wake up and it will be a surprise tomorrow morning. But we'll be back with this show again tomorrow at 1 p.m. We'll look at the other 6 games, and they are Borough versus Swansea, Blackburn versus Millwall, Luton versus Norwich, Forest versus Watford, Sheffield Wednesday versus Reading, Wycombe versus Stoke. So that will be your Championship night tonight. I'll be looking at that 1 p.m. tomorrow. Join me again then. And I'll also be here. Do you know what? I might even delay it to 1 p.m. the next day and not put that out on the Thursday night, just to give us a bit of a break. So I might do it on 1 p.m. On Friday. We'll do the preview show. Let me know how that works. I like the interaction, and I don't want to fill my nights completely with YouTube every night. So it's going to go up anyway. I may as well get the interaction. Obviously, we're flying by the seat of our pants, but isn't this the beauty of content today, that I can literally chat to you and get your feedback as we go? So I'm enjoying doing it like this in this test out this week. Right. Come back fresh. Thank you, Irene, John Wayne, Nat, Jay, Hip, Radaby. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. Jay, for the lunchtime stream. Yeah, we've got to keep it fresh, haven't we? Thank you, everybody, for watching. As ever, we need to say thank you to Russ, our fan sponsor. Russ Peak, a fan and now friend, despite Ben's terrible taste in football teams. He sponsors our championship review show. You can get involved in stuff like that if you want to support the channel over on Patreon there. And at Teesprings, your reward for watching is you can get a discount code here. Just type in the word live, and it's live at the checkout, and get 10% discount at the Teesprings store. Right, I pressed the wrong button yesterday, so I'm going to prepare myself. I pressed the intro instead of the outro. So I'm supposed to pull out my earphones very theatrically, say thank you for watching, over and out, and press the right button. Let's see if I can do it. Thank you, everybody, for watching. It's over and out from me. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button, and to be notified every time we upload, ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.